guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Tyler. I'm just trying my best. This week I wanted to talk about error cards. If you missed the video last week, make sure you check that out. I ended up going to Collecticon, picked up a ton of stuff for my personal collection, including a Bubble Mew, so check that out. For this week, I wanted to talk about the different types of error cards, how you can shop for them on eBay, how you can find them from actually really cheap, much cheaper than you might think, and what I picked up for the $10 a week personal collection that I'm doing.
Okay guys, so we're going to go over all the different type of misprints first. You can find all this information on the Pokemon misprints subreddit. And if you want to know more, you can check this out. You can post your errors that you think you might have, and they can help you identify them and potentially even sell them too. So make sure you check them out. The first misprint that they show off is off-center, and you'll see this a lot. This is the one that you'll probably pull yourself, and it's just usually something that's quite a bit off-center. Usually nothing extreme, and I'm sure you've seen this before. The next one that they have is a miscut, which they show a pretty extreme example here where you even get like the color coordination on the side, and then even cards cut right in the middle. Now from what I've seen, I haven't really seen things this extreme, but the main differentiator between a miscut and something that's off-center is they tend to have these alignment dots in the corner. So when these cards are cut, they actually start out as square corners. They get put in this little machine with dots in each corner that shows where the machine should line up, and then it cuts all the corners off the stack of cards and rounds the corners, and then everything moves on. So when things are out of place, which is a pretty rare occurrence, something like this can happen. But for the most part, you won't see something this extreme. The next one is a twisted miscut, which is even rarer. It's when the card is actually tilted on its side and then also cut incorrectly. I haven't actually seen too many of these, and the ones I do see are pretty expensive, so this is definitely a rare one. The square cut is exactly what I was talking about before, where some of the corners actually originate as square, and here they just didn't get cut. Sometimes you'll see actually online that the corners are cut a little bit, but not all the way through. But for here, you can see that at least this corner is square and this corner is square, but the other ones are rounded. So the flip back and front is a common error on certain cards, and all the way at the top, actually, they have a list on Bulbapedia here that you can check out for errors for specific cards that are really common. But down here, they show off a Mew Delta Species card with it flipped, and it's pretty interesting. It's not something that I think looks great in a binder because you have to see the back, and most of the time you're not really looking at the back. But they do grade these cards, especially CGC, so if you're interested in that, you can check those out. The crimp cards are really cool. This is one of my favorite type of error card. So when the packs get crimped at the top, they kind of get this texture to them, and sometimes cards are misaligned and they get crimped instead. This is an extreme example where the crimps are actually really far up on the card. Most of what I've seen, they're either really close to the top or really close to the bottom, and this is a really interesting example. But these actually are pretty cheap, cheaper than you might think, and they're pretty cool error, really noticeable, especially on the front of a card. The next type of card is really rare. I didn't see any of these online when I was looking at error cards, and this is when the card gets folded up and then it gets somehow pressed in this way and sent out into packs. They say here that it's a very rare error. The card will have been folded and will likely not be printed or fused properly. So haven't seen one of these myself, but pretty cool looking error, and I'd love to pick one of these up if I could. The next error is a registration error, and you can kind of see the difference here. The left is a really extreme example. The ones that I've seen on eBay listed as registration, it's hard to actually see it. I haven't seen something this obvious. But here you can see the big difference between the cards. This is a normal one on the right, and this is a registration error on the left. Obstruction error, and again, this is an extreme example. The ones I looked up online had nothing even close to this, where it almost looked like this was completely missing ink. But this is a really, really cool error, and I imagine that this card is very expensive, especially as a haunt or a ghost card. It's just so thematic. But an obstruction error is when part of the plate is used for printing is covered with something, and it blocks the plate from making all the proper contact. and then it causes a bunch of missing ink. So normally this is a lot more tame, and I'll show you a couple examples later on too, but this is an extreme example, and it's a really cool one. Hollow bleed is actually a very common occurrence. It's when the hollow, usually from the main portion of the art, spreads out throughout the card. It's pretty cool. This effect is really nice, and it kind of turns these normal hollows into almost like a full hollow card, so I really like these. And you can find them for pretty cheap usually too. The hollow arrow here is when the hollow foil runs out or the incorrect hollow foil is used. It can be pretty hard to spot, and I have this little video here that kind of shows the error right there in the middle where there's a complete line of missing holographic. It's pretty cool. I didn't really see any of these, and it's really hard to tell from pictures this hollow effect. I'd be really worried about just buying these if you don't really see it in the picture. And that goes for a lot of these errors. If you don't see it in the picture, if you can't identify it, I would stay away from it. There's actually a ton more errors on this page that you can look through. I'll link this in the description. I kind of went over some of the more common ones and some of the ones that are a little bit cheaper too. Things like this, like print lines, I wouldn't really look for myself. I see these come up a lot just in kind of poor quality control. But if it's something you're interested in, if you collect print lines, these would be really easy to pick up. They aren't usually labeled on eBay though, so you might have to kind of dig through auctions and things like that to find these, as most people don't really advertise print lines when they're selling cards. You can see a bunch of other types of errors, including stuff at the bottom that talks about different pack errors. So make sure you check out this page if you're really interested in learning more. They go into a lot of detail about how these errors happen and things like that. So make sure to check those out. That's pretty much all I wanted to show you for this. Let me show you what I ended up picking up for this week's collection. I ended up picking up 4 different error cards, and I wanted to show you what those look like. Okay, if you've caught any of my other videos, you know that now I'll be showing what I picked up for the $10 a week Pokemon collection. At the end, I'll show you everything I picked up for the prior weeks too, and what everything looks like in the binder. The first card that I wanted to show is a really cool Hollow Bleed card that I picked up, and I'll put all the prices that I paid for on the screen, including shipping and all that. So here's my Hollow Bleed Ditto, and I'll kind of put it up here closer to the camera, and I got this light on it so you can see a little bit better. I might have to take it out of the pack for you to be able to see it. But let's see here. So you can kind of see the hollow effect here. Ditto, great Ditto card, by the way. Great hollow. And you can kind of see down here that the hollow effect extends below the normal hollow box. So I might even increase the light a little bit. Maybe it might be easier to see. Right there, you can see it, the hollow bleed from the top of the card. So pretty cool error. It can be a little tricky to see on camera, but it is a lot more noticeable in person. But I thought this was a great pickup, great card as well. Really happy with this one, the price I paid for it, the type of card, so really happy with that one. Okay, the next card I actually got from the same seller, and it's actually a little bit different. I think it's considered a double print error, although I'm not sure. It might be some type of ink error, but it was labeled as a heavy ink card, and so it's a Hisuian Lilligant, and it's a normal hollow here, you can see. And then if you look at some of the text or like the HP logo up there, it's kind of hard to read. The grass symbol is really, really thick. And all the text is a little bit thicker than normal. Let me find an example card here for you. Okay, so I have a normal card here for you to take a peek at. Just a normal Venomoth, but you can kind of see with the grass symbol what I mean about the error. It's a lot more noticeable when it's side by side, what those look like. You can see how much more ink is on that grass and the HP and how clear some of that text is supposed to be. Same thing down here. It's all throughout the card. You can kind of see the difference there. So not super noticeable, but still hollow, still pretty cheap, and definitely still an error, so I really like that one. And it'll kind of be cool to explain to people if they look through my binder, and I can talk a little bit more about that. So I like that one. Good price and everything. Came from the same seller, so shipping was nice and cheap. Okay, the next card I got, another error, of course, and that is a miscut card of Hollow Boss's Orders. And you can see right away how huge this offcut is. How much of a border hollow that's on this side. And it's even more apparent on the back when you flip it over. Really, really cool card. And then you can kind of barely see it in this bottom right corner here. I'm not sure how well it'll show up because of the shine. But there is a little alignment dot in that corner. So really like this card. Very, very obvious. And actually this might be my favorite type of arrow to put in a binder just because it's so obvious when you're looking at it. And just happy to have picked up something in Hollow. It was kind of hard to find something in my price range for these and still pick up all these other cards with it. Okay, and the final card I picked up for this week, I told you earlier, it's my favorite type of arrow card, and I was really happy to be able to pick this up. It's not anything special as far as the card. It's a Vengeful Punch trainer card. Also in reverse hollow. I couldn't end up finding a normal hollow in my price range for this, but you can see right at the top, the crimp. And it's super cool. It actually cut off a part of the card, it seemed like, because it's right at the top there. And there's even some damage I'll try to show you right here, where you can see it's kind of messed up even more right there on the left-hand side. So you can see it on the back too. Really, really cool card. Really happy. I think I got a great deal on this for a great price. And even though it's a Vengeful Punch, almost kind of is thematic to the crimp. Almost like it got punched down and cut off. So really happy with that too. Alright, let me get these sleeved up in new sleeves, and I'll show you what the collection looks like so far. Okay, I ended up sleeving them, putting them in the binder, and I'll show you the collection so far. So every week we've only spent $10, and that includes still this week. This is what we picked up for the first week, these Radiant cards. Then we picked up some of these A-Spec rare cards. This week we picked up the arrow cards, which look great together. Kind of a random page, but I think I love this style. It kind of looks like just something random, but it's actually a bunch of these arrow cards. So it'd be really fun to explain to someone what this page means if they're looking through your binder and they're confused. But yeah, just really like the style. Really like how this looks in the binder. Really happy with the pickups. All this for $10 too, so I think a really good deal. The last thing that we had picked up previously was the jumbo cards. So this binder does have a few jumbo card slots, and we picked up the big Pikachu and the Morpeko. So that's all I have for you this week. Thanks so much for watching. You can catch me every Sunday, so make sure you subscribe. I'd really appreciate it if you gave me a like for this video if you enjoyed it, made it to the end here. Feel free to comment if you have any really cool arrow cards that you like or that you picked up. And that's all for this week. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good one.